August 26th, 2025. A quiet morning in the Victorian countryside shattered in an instant. At around 10:30 a.m, 10 police officers pulled up outside a property on Rayner Track, a lonely stretch of land at the base of Mount Buffalo. Their mission was clear: execute a warrant for alleged sex offences tied to the man who lived there. That man was Dezi Freeman. He wasn't living in a house, but in an old bus parked on the property. To the police, it probably looked like a routine operation. Approach, serve the warrant and bring him in. But Dezi had been waiting. The moment a 59-year-old officer approached the bus door, a deafening blast rang out. Dezi fired straight through the metal with a homemade shotgun. The officer collapsed, dead before he hit the ground. Panic erupted. As the other officers scrambled for cover, Dezi flung open a window and fired again. A second officer, just 34 years old, went down. Another detective was struck but managed to crawl under the bus, hiding in the dirt as chaos raged above him. By the time the smoke cleared, 2 officers were dead, 1 was wounded, and Dezi had vanished into the bushland, armed not just with his homemade weapon, but also with pistols taken from the fallen officers. Within hours, the area transformed into the largest manhunt Victoria had ever seen. More than 450 police officers scoured the dense wilderness of Mount Buffalo National Park. Helicopters buzzed overhead, roadblocks went up, and residents were warned: stay inside, lock your doors. The hunt for Dezi Freeman had begun. After the gunfire fell silent at Rayner Track, chaos spilled into the mountains. Dezi Freeman had vanished into the thick bushland of Mount Buffalo, armed with stolen police pistols and the survival skills of a man who lived off-grid for years. Within hours, the sleepy community of Porpanka was transformed into a locked-down zone. Residents were warned to bolt their doors, stay inside, and trust no one, because whispers soon surfaced that Dezi wasn't entirely alone. The police believed members of the community were helping him, hiding him, maybe even feeding him. 5 days later, on August 31st, Dezi's wife, Molly, broke her silence through her attorney. Her words were careful, but heavy. She expressed condolences to the families of the fallen officers and distanced herself from Dezi's anti-authority beliefs. She said she respected the work of the police. It was the first public sign of how far Dezi had drifted, even from those closest to him. But Dezi remained a ghost. No sightings, no tracks, just silence and fear. On September 5th, the government offered a staggering $1 million reward, the largest in Victoria's history, for information leading to his arrest. It was a test of loyalty. Would those rumoured to be sheltering him betray him for the money, or would they risk everything to keep him hidden? To this day, the answer remains unclear. Before the chaos on Rayner Track, there was a life shaped by extremes. Desmond Christopher Philby, known to the world now as Dezi Freeman, was born in the late 1960s and grew up in Melbourne, Australia. In 1977, his family moved 200 miles northeast to Wodonga, a quieter town where he spent his formative years. Even as a young man, Dezi's worldview was coloured by intensity. He was a devout Catholic, an environmentalist, and occasionally obsessively fixated on the ideas and symbols that unsettled him, like when he destroyed Metallica cassette tapes, convinced they carried satanic messages. As an adult, Dezi drifted through various jobs: freelance photography, diving, rock climbing instruction. But stability eluded him. He eventually relied on welfare and a disability pension, while nurturing deep-seated anti-government and anti-police beliefs. He declared himself a sovereign citizen, changed his name to Dezi Freeman, and embraced a philosophy that put him above the law. Every minor confrontation, every disagreement with authority, reinforced his sense of entitlement. In the Philippines, he met Amalia, who went by Marley. Their romance led to marriage and 3 children. Upon returning to Victoria, Dezi's relationships with neighbours were fraught. He became notorious for disputes, lawsuits over alleged drone surveillance, attempts to arrest magistrates, and frequent confrontations with authorities. By 2018, his estrangement from family deepened. Christmas gatherings became a stage for preaching apocalypse and railing against law enforcement, a foreshadowing of the violent stand he would take years later. Paranoia, grandiosity, and a fierce need to assert control defined Dezi Freeman. Every action, from surveillance cameras around his properties to his fascination with conspiracy theories, was part of a pattern. He believed that society, laws, and authorities were obstacles designed to curb his self-perceived greatness. Little did anyone know, this mindset was the seed of the deadly confrontation that would unfold on August 26, 2025. The morning of August 26, 2025, dawned quietly over Popanka, a small town nestled at the base of Mount Buffalo. At 10:30 a.m., 10 police officers arrived at 80 Rainer Track to execute a warrant related to alleged sex offences. The property, unassuming from the road, concealed a bus where Dezi Freeman had made his home. What happened next would shock the community. As a 59-year-old officer approached the bus, Dezi fired through the door with a homemade shotgun, striking the officer fatally. Chaos erupted instantly. Dezi then opened a window targeting other officers. He killed a 34-year-old officer and wounded a detective, who narrowly survived by hiding under the bus. The officer's life hung in the balance until backup arrived. Dezi, armed now with pistols taken from the fallen officers, vanished into the dense bushland of Mount Buffalo National Park. The town quickly became a fortress. Residents were told to lock their doors and stay inside. Over 450 officers joined a massive manhunt, scouring the rugged terrain for any trace of the fugitive. Helicopters hovered overhead, dogs were deployed, and checkpoints were established on every road leading out of the area. In the days that followed, the tension in Popanka escalated. On August 31st, Dezi's wife, Mali, issued a statement through her attorney expressing condolences to the victims, emphasizing that she did not share her husband's anti-authority views. By September 1st, police announced that locals had reportedly been assisting Dezi, complicating the search. 4 days later, authorities offered a $1 million reward for information leading to his arrest, the largest in Victoria's history. While the authorities hunted, Dezi's presence remained a ghost in the bush. Tracks, sightings, and tips came and went, none leading to capture. The man who had spent years shaping his life around autonomy, rebellion, and defiance had now become a living symbol of his beliefs, forcing the law to chase him across the wild slopes of Mount Buffalo. Over the following days, the massive manhunt for Dezi Freeman continued, with helicopters combing the forest, officers setting up roadblocks, and locals urged to stay vigilant. Sightings and tips circulated, but none led to capture, and rumours swirled that he was receiving aid from sympathisers. Dezi's wife, Mali, remained publicly distanced, offering condolences but emphasising she did not share his anti-authority views. A $1 million reward heightened the stakes, yet the fugitive's knowledge of the rugged terrain and survival skills kept him one step ahead. Authorities speculated on his fate. Some feared he had already taken his own life. Others believed he was preparing for a final confrontation. As time passed, the tension in Popanka remained palpable, leaving the community and police alike uncertain whether Dezi Freeman would ever be found alive or dead, and the case became a haunting reminder of the danger posed by a man driven by extreme beliefs and unwavering defiance of the law.